A woman is secretly meeting her lover when her mother-in-law suddenly barges in. In a panic, the man has no choice but to hide under the woman's skirt. Miraculously, the mother-in-law notices nothing unusual and even kindly massages her back. Teresa grew up living under someone else's roof. Her father, busy trying to survive, left her at her aunt's house and never returned. From that day on, Teresa clung to the promise that her father would come back for her. But her aunt bluntly told her that her father would never return.
Your father isn't coming back, Teresa.
He'll come back.
My brother has never done a single thing he said he was going to do.
After arriving at her aunt's home, Teresa was forced to take care of her seriously ill cousin. She would be scolded for the smallest things, even for walking barefoot, accused of being unladylike. Every word she spoke and every move she made were tightly controlled by her aunt. Her aunt, who had been widowed at a young age, arranged for Teresa and her cousin to eat and sleep together. Every night, Teresa fell asleep to the sound of her cousin coughing. Every morning, she woke up to that same sound, year after year. Until she turned 18, caring for her cousin became her daily routine. After years of suffocating repression, Teresa desperately longed for the outside world. One day, she saw a strong man working across the lake. The raw masculinity radiating from him stirred something deep inside her. It was a kind of presence her cousin had never possessed. On her way home, she could not stop thinking about it. At an age when first love begins, curiosity about desire and intimacy was inevitable.
Kiss me, Camille.
What?
No, not like that.
Like this?
No.
She suddenly realized that her awkward, unromantic cousin had no idea how to comfort a woman. Just then, tragic news arrived. Her father had died after falling into the sea. The last thread of hope was instantly cut off. Teresa felt even more lost, terrified about what her future might hold, but her aunt showed no sympathy. She announced that she would use the compensation from Teresa's father to move to Paris. The reason was simple: to improve her son's condition.
We can leave right after the wedding.
Whose wedding are we going to?
Well, yours, dear.
Oh, but who am I going to marry? Why, Camille, of course.
The sudden decision left Teresa completely unprepared, yet she had no power to resist.
We don't even know who your mother was. Illegitimates have been dealt an unlucky hand. We should consider ourselves lucky that you have Camille.
The husband never took the initiative to have sex with his wife. Faced with his beautiful and seductive spouse, his frail body simply could not keep up with his desire. When confronted with his wife's increasingly obvious hints, Camille felt as if he were facing an enemy. He hurriedly blew out the candles, collapsed onto the bed, and pretended to be asleep. Left alone, Teresa stared at his back and felt a flood of conflicting emotions. That day, her husband failed to return home on time, which made her mother-in-law uneasy. Just as she voiced her concern, Camille's voice was heard at the door. She had brought home a guest named Paul, the very man who had previously helped Camille find work. Outgoing and charming, Paul was warmly welcomed by the mother-in-law. Only Teresa stood on the sidelines like an outsider. Years of being suppressed had left her nearly invisible in this household, so when Paul greeted her, she felt unexpectedly flattered. By accident, Teresa locked eyes with Paul. Her heart began to race, and she hurriedly stood up in panic. Seeing this, Camille assumed his wife was behaving improperly. He walked over with a stern expression to check on her. Under his breath, he complained that Teresa was unsociable and might make their guest feel unwelcome. He had no idea that all of her inner turmoil was caused by Paul. The next day, Paul came by on his own to paint Camille. Teresa sat nearby. They barely exchanged a word, yet both were constantly aware of each other's presence. Carefree Camille noticed nothing at all. It was only the sudden intrusion of the mother-in-law that broke the delicate tension. To thank Paul for the painting, the mother and son suggested going out to buy champagne to celebrate. But once Camille left the house, the restraint was gone. Paul stopped hiding his feelings and spoke plainly.
Do you like it?
You said you couldn't paint.
Unbutton your blouse.
We don't have time.
After years of repression, Teresa decided to finally let herself go as well. But could such a forbidden and unconventional romance ever end well? While her husband was away, the woman secretly invited her lover into the bedroom. Paul hesitated.
Your marriage bed? Madame could come up here at any minute.
I don't dream of leaving the shop. You're afraid.
I can't believe that you're the same lifeless girl that always sat in a corner.
You've no idea how much they've stolen from me. I almost ran away twice, but she always told me I couldn't survive without them. And I believed her. There's nothing left of me. Danger passes by those who look it right in the eye.
That laughter sparked Paul's competitive pride. Not wanting to be looked down on, he decided to go all in. From then on, they began meeting in secret on a regular basis. Every corner of the house bore traces of their affair. Paul's favorite moment of each day became the end of his work shift, because that meant he could come see Teresa. One evening after work, Paul was suddenly stopped. Camille wanted to invite him out for a casual meal. Paul quickly made an excuse and declined. Then he turned around and went straight to Teresa. Once a woman's heart changes, resentment toward her husband inevitably follows. Watching Camille break into cold sweats even in his sleep, Teresa felt nothing but disdain. While Teresa drifted off in her thoughts, Camille suddenly woke from a nightmare. He noticed his wife watching him. Teresa, of course, denied everything. Sensing the change in his wife, Camille began confiding his worries to Paul. After intimacy, Camille would cough uncontrollably. There was not a trace of happiness left in this marriage. This completely shattered Teresa's remaining hope. From that point on, she and Paul became even more reckless. They both fully indulged in this secret relationship, but no one walks by the river forever without getting wet. When her mother-in-law suddenly entered the room holding a cup of tea, Teresa forced herself to stay calm. Her mother-in-law assumed she was feeling unwell and kindly began massaging her back. Thankfully, she noticed nothing, and just like that, their secret remained hidden.
We can leave right after the wedding.
Oh, whose wedding are we going to?
Well, yours, dear.
Oh, but who am I going to marry? Why, Camille, of course.
Teresa had just come of age when her aunt decided it was time to arrange her marriage to her own son. Seeing the hesitation on Teresa's face, her aunt didn't bother to persuade her.
We don't even know who your mother was. Illegitimates have been dealt an unlucky hand. We should consider ourselves lucky that you have Camille.
Instead, she chose cruelty, using harsh words to break her down. Ever since childhood, Teresa had been sent to live in her aunt's home. Years of constant criticism had made her overly sensitive, quiet, and deeply insecure. After the wedding, nothing changed. Night after night, Camille deliberately kept his distance. When Teresa finally gathered the courage to suggest becoming closer as husband and wife, the physically frail Camille panicked. Confronted with her unspoken feelings, he hurriedly blew out the candle, collapsed onto the bed, and pretended to be asleep. One day, Camille invited a colleague to paint his portrait. The painter, Laurent, used the excuse of work to make deliberately suggestive remarks. Standing nearby, Teresa found her thoughts drifting. Laurent watched her quietly, noticing every subtle change in her expression. Their eyes met, just for a moment, and something unspoken passed between them. Camille noticed nothing. It wasn't until Teresa's mother-in-law suddenly appeared that Teresa snapped back to reality. Looking at the portrait of her son, the older woman was filled with pride, even though Camille's poor health was obvious. When the painting was finished, Camille excitedly announced